Good morning, Charlie Pierce.
Morning, Jody Hamilton.
Okay.
Jody and I were both primping there before
I saw that.
the segment started. Yes.
It's very cute. Charlie,
Hey, I'm fully vaxxed.
I know you got your second
Yeah.
dolly. I'm sorry,
I've got the double dolly. The day before Dolly got her second dolly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Sean. That would make him. He had his. What? Hang on a second. You're weirdly outnumbered now, Jody and Chris. I'm just saying.
Moderna.
What?
No.
Me and Travis. And Sean on Friday will also be Moderna. Hello.
Are we all doing like hip hop gestures now?
This is our gang sign.
No, this is
This is the sign for P.
sign language for P.
And M would be this in sign language, but this is P, which is.
Please, Charlie, get your Funky Cold Moderna Stephanie Miller Show T-shirt now. It's available today. Anyway, I was saying I don't know whether
for my Stephanie Miller Show gift pack, which never comes in which gets
So well.
stolen off my porch repeatedly.
So I was saying, I don't know whether it's the vaccine, but steely-eyed prosecutor Cynthia Oxney was nearly giddy yesterday about the chances for justice in the Chauvin trial. You're a curmudgeon, Charlie Pearson. Your piece was actually hopeful. You said our capacity for shock is finally coming back. We're seeing a renewal of the instincts by which we know what it means to be citizens of this country, and a renewal of our ability to recognize threats to it for what they are. You said the attention paid to the Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis, the wide, strong backlash against voter suppression laws, Georgia's new one just costed the Major League Baseball All-Star game this summer, the general desire to follow this president as he moves on big things. I got my second dolly shot on Thursday. Things I swear are looking up. Charlie Pierce, you're happy-clappy.
I had a tremendous burst of optimism at the end of last week.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Not that it's faded or anything, but it was so incredibly liberating.
Yeah. Do you agree with Jody? I mean, she was just saying that
Always.
For those of us that, okay, other than wanting to get in her pants. My point is, do you, but I mean, a lot of us just thought, okay, I mean, you know me, I was Team Liz. I was like, oh, Joe will staunch the bleeding from Trump. But I mean, Jody just said he could be FDR meets LBJ. I mean, this infrastructure thing.
He's certainly ambitious enough, and this ruling that Schumer got from the parliamentarian,
right?
Which I allowed Lawrence O'Donnell to explain to me last night on TV because he knows this stuff and I don't.
Right.
But this seems to be a big deal.
It is a big deal. What, Charlie? Can you explain to us? Does this mean 2 more times in addition to COVID relief that we already used?
I think there are 2 more opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are only 2 more major bills, right?
Infrastructure and
voting rights.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
right, but
but voting can't be done under this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's got to be a budget.
Because it has nothing to do with the budget. Yeah.
Got to be a spending bill. What else? Maybe just the budget. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
or maybe just one you keep in your pocket till you need it.
Yeah. There you go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It really. I mean, it is.
I mean, pretty clearly, the infrastructure bill is the first one.
Yeah.
And then,
right.
You keep one in reserve.
Right. By the way, you were retweeted the headline "Leak at Wastewater Pond Prompts Evacuations in Florida," and you just said infrastructure. When they keep saying, "Oh, that's not there you go. There's infrastructure."
I mean, this redefinition of what infrastructure is just hilarious.
Yes.
It's roads and bridges, but it's not like it's not anything that would like make you want to go out on the road or go over the bridge.
Right.
We're gonna let everything's going to be polluted anyway. So, in Florida, they're going to have radioactive water washing out the road anyway. So what the heck's the difference?
God.
Infrastructure is it's another way of saying the old Oliver Wendell Holmes line: taxes is the price we pay for a free society.
But this
is stuff that has to be done.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie.
We can't function as a nation in the 21st century without fixing all this stuff.
Thank you. This is how Republicans govern. he's just declared a state of emergency. They're literally the now a warning, legislators, right? Because the bridge, after the bridge falls in Minnesota, they're like, oh, well, now we need to. I mean, this thing that's happening in Florida, he's declared a state of emergency over concerns of reservoir containing 400 million gallons of wastewater from a former phosphate mine may collapse and engulf the surrounding Tampa Bay area. That would be a 20-foot wall of water that could rush in the area in less than an hour's time if there's a total collapse. DeSantis, of course, has denied that the liquid is radioactive, despite widespread reports that it is. He insists the liquid is mainly salt water, rainwater, and what he called legacy water. He also said the water is slightly acidic and contains elevated levels of nutrients and maybe a nice buttery finish. Are you kidding me?
No, I mean, even if that's true, and I don't believe it is, I believe that because of the substance lying at the bottom of this pond, I think it could be, I don't know what the level of radioactivity is, but I think the water is radioactive. If just all the nutrients get into Tampa Bay, you're going to get an algae bloom that's going to wash up in Maine.
Yes.
Right.
And that's going to kill off a lot of
fish.
stuff, including the tourism.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it really is, it just is hysterical how they suddenly, I mean, so it was bad news that the stadium was full yesterday in Texas for COVID news, but how's that boycott going? I mean, Ronna McDaniel said, guess what I'm doing today? Not watching baseball. And you just said, no one cares. Clearly nobody did yesterday.
No, right? I mean, why do, and Ted Cruz and Mike Lee are, talking about, well, we'll show them, we'll get rid of their antitrust exemption. People have been arguing that ever since Curt Flood went to court in the 1960s. To somehow getting rid of baseball's antitrust exemption will own the libs.
Right. I know.
These people don't know what they're talking about.
No, they're incoherent. They're just, and it's clearly punitive. It's like, oh, really, Delta? Well, we're going to take away your tax break. And I mean, it's too many corporations. Oh my God, what did Trump's whiny statement? It was a list of how many companies that he wants Republicans to boycott. It's like everything, right?
Well, he just wants to revenge himself on any businessman, any business that's actually successful.
Mm-hmm. Right.
By the way, how's this new media platform coming? Do we know?
Oh my God. He can't even boycott Diet Coke himself from a picture that he's publicly sending out.
I think the fact that he's got this cut rate Hall of Presidents thing going.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's inviting people to come to his fake Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way,
oh my God.
You, turning to the Chauvin trial for a minute, you said the Minneapolis police chief clearly has had enough of chauvinist bull. I get it, chauvinist, I get it. But this is, I have to say, this is new. Police, it's almost like police want their reputation back, right? I mean, the lieutenant was enough, but this is the police chief.
This particular police chief has had enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm writing about this now for the blog today. I have never seen that before.
Me neither.
Where, a chief of police gets on the stand for the prosecution of one of his officers killing a guy.
Yeah. Let's listen for a minute. Chief Arredondo yesterday.
Arredondo.
We have to make each engagement with our community count. And so the training is very important because for many in our communities, the first time that they encounter a Minneapolis police officer may be the only time in their life they do. And so that singular incident matters.
I mean, the key thing, he said, Chauvin absolutely violated department policies. So there goes his whole defense that, this is what I was trained to do. When he knelt on Mr. Floyd's neck, he said he failed to follow policies on de-escalation, use of force, and the duty to render aid to people who need it. He said, I absolutely agree that violates our policy. That's not part of our policy. That's not what we teach. He went on to say
that action is not de-escalation. And when we talk about the framework of our sanctity of life, and when we talk about the principles and values that we have, that action goes contrary to what we're taught. When I look at Exhibit 17, and when I look at the facial expression of Mr. Floyd, that does not appear in any way, shape, or form that is light to moderate pressure.
Yeah. I mean, he said once he stopped resisting, certainly once he was in distress.
Neither does the fact that George Floyd is dead, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That indicates that it's not light to moderate pressure either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, he recounted he first learned about the bystander video that night from the bystander, and so he had not seen that, and then he immediately fired all of the officers involved. Let's listen to one more of the chief.
To continue to apply that level of force to a person proned out, handcuffed behind their back, that in no way, shape, or form is anything that is by policy, is not part of our training, and it is certainly not part of our ethics or our values.
I mean, because you know what they always say, like, oh, you don't know what it's civilians, you don't know what you're seeing, you know what it's like to be a cop. And we're like, yeah, okay, well, that didn't seem like out of any training manual. And sure enough, he's confirming that, which I think is pretty devastating, isn't it, for the defense?
Well, you know, not just that. I do not know why the defense insists on arguing in the face of all video evidence that the crowd was unruly.
Right.
Yeah.
And Chauvin felt threatened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything to the crowd.
Right.
He knelt on the guy's neck, first of all. And second of all, there's no indication from any video that crowd was willing to do anything except yell.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then the most laughable.
And plead for the EMTs.
And then I think the doctor really blew it up, right? He said the pronounced George Floyd dead of lack of oxygen as the likely cause. That their defense is that his death was caused in part by underlying heart disease and fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system. I mean, they said, first of all, the paramedics who brought him into the hospital gave no indication he'd overdosed. And then here is the doctor real quick.
Was your leading theory then for the cause of Mr. Floyd's cardiac arrest oxygen deficiency?
That was one of the more likely possibilities. I felt that at the time, based on the information I had, it was more likely than the other possibilities.
And doctor, is there another name for death by oxygen deficiency?
Asphyxia.
Yeah, I mean, God, Charlie, this is going to be a heartbreaker because I know we've been here before where we think, oh my God, this prosecution is airtight, and then something happens, right? All you need is one juror to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all you need is one juror to hang it.
Yeah.
Not to necessarily acquit him.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way they don't retry this guy if they don't get a conviction.
Yeah.
If they get a mistrial or a hung jury, they're gonna try this guy again.
Yeah. So.
And they're gonna go to federal court if well, on a civil rights violation if somehow they manage to make an acquittal appear out of thin air here.
So sometimes I guess Republicans are forced to do the right thing, but only Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson announces he has vetoed the anti-trans bill. And you said Asa beats the buzzer, but it's not even like, I mean, he's signed a bunch of LGBT and anti-trans bills before.
He signed some really bad.
This one was just too much
legislation. And, you know, I mean, this whole thing about we don't want to get between someone and their doctor. Well, he doesn't feel that way about abortion.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, so I take what I can get, but pretty plainly, he saw what was happening with the All-Star game and voting rights. And he saw what, you know, a really outrageous piece of legislation can do to your state's economy now.
I mean, it is so stark now, isn't it? The Democrats are doing all of this big stuff, COVID relief, shots in people's arms, checks in their bank account, infrastructure. And you just, every day I wake up, Charlie, I'm like, stop picking on trans people. What is that? You're the only thing now? I mean, it's just, taking away voting rights and picking on trans people. I mean, that's what you stand for?
Yeah, and you know, not watching baseball and not drinking Coca-Cola, and you know, they're out.
Right, it's what they're against.
All they have left is culture war stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the country simply doesn't have time for that stuff right now. There's important stuff to do.
Who tweeted this? It's a good tweet. Governor Greg Abbott thinks Major League Baseball fans care more about him protesting the first pitch at the Texas Rangers home opener game than that his absent leadership led the Texans literally freezing to death. I mean, it really is true. They're into culture wars, not governing. That's exactly right.
Right. No, they're not interested in governing at all. They're all interested in like auditioning for a job with One America or Newsmax. I won't even say
Yeah.
Fox anymore
Yeah.
because apparently Fox is far too liberal for most of these people.
I mean, this is why I love Pete Buttigieg.
Which brings us to Matt Gaetz.
But Pete Buttigieg is so good at this stuff, right? Where he's like, yes, it's infrastructure. Look what just happened in Texas. Like, yes, we have infrastructure problems. I mean,
yeah, the electric grid is infrastructure,
right?
Believe it or not, that keeps the streetlights above your new roads lit.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. What were your thoughts on Matt Gaetz?
Rural broadband is infrastructure.
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
My friend Jane Klebb from Nebraska. Boy, get her started about that sometime. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You're what level of toast is Matt Gaetz currently? Do you think?
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't bet against him brazening this out.
Oh God.
Really?
I mean, unless they've really got a criminal case against him.
I can't believe they don't at this point. I know it's the same play.
Out his term though, if they don't have a criminal case against him.
Well, I mean, I feel like Republicans think they do because they're moving to if he's indicted, make him step down, which is not even the ordinary.
How are they going to do that? How are they going to do that?
I don't know.
I don't see that happening.
They have to expel him from the House.
This party.
They can't make him resign.
What are the guys out here? What's his name? Duncan Hunter and who's the other one? Chris. They got reelected.
The one from New York.
They got reelected while they were under indictment.
Yeah.
Chris Collins.
Exactly.
Right. I mean,
I don't see them getting rid of Matt Gaetz. I really don't. I'm so cynical that way.
Charlie,
the only way to get rid of Matt Gaetz is to expel him from the House.
Right.
And you need to, I think you need too many votes right now to do that.
Except everyone hates him. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene has removed all of her Matt Gaetz tweets from her timeline, apparently.
Even though they do that, it still doesn't mean they're going to get rid of him.
I don't know. This party, man.
I wanted to ask Chris. Have you seen Marjorie Taylor Greene's weightlifting video?
Oh my God!
I did.
Does she know what she's doing? Because to me, it looks like she's sucking around to getting a barbell across the throat.
I only watched the one where someone added fart noises because that made it.
That was good.
What that is CrossFit, and CrossFit is weightlifting with really awful form, and her knees and her back are going to suffer later on down the road for doing
my back because of getting hit by the car. My back hurt just watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't lift weights, but I know you're not supposed to do it that way.
No. Yeah, she's going to have some really, really awful joint problems.
And CrossFit, by the way, is even if they're awful, Chris, they've disavowed her and another Oath Keeper that just got arrested. That's how they found him. And just through the owner of his CrossFit gym.
They've also disavowed all of the CrossFit instructors that she slept with.
Oh, allegedly.
Yes.
Okay.
In which case we're talking about CrossFit.
Charlie Louise, speaking of this awful party and these awful, you made an awful joke about the governor of was it Montana, Gianforte?
Yeah, he's got COVID. I hope he feels. I said I hope he feels. For the next 2 weeks, like somebody body slammed him.
Charlie,
I'm not sorry about that.
No, you are not.
He's the guy who threw Ben Jacobs around.
He body slammed a reporter. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You got that out of your system now?
Twice. Okay. I got it out of my system on Twitter, and now I got it out of my system on the radio. TV is the only thing that's left.
All right. We love you, Charlie.
We're on TV too.
Hey, it's time for you to go. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Sexy liberals, assemble!
We have a lot to celebrate.
The right to remain tripping your balls off.
It's like Illuminati, but with leather.
First day at Fight Club, you must fight!
2020 refuses to concede.
I was going to have to return 2021 because I didn't like the 7-day trial, but I'm in now.